Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Mac. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links to everything discussed can be found in the description below, so let's get on with it. This week, Tony Z talks about NPC crews, we see the new Hornet F7A, plus 2.5 hits the PTU. So to say thank you to my patrons, I give away a $25 Star Citizen gift card each month to the $5 or more pledges. This month I decided to announce it on YouTube, so congratulations to Matt Stubbs. You are the winner. I shall be in touch, sir. So, as most people will be aware, 2.5 hit the PTU. This brought the new Outlaw Station Grim Hex, the Mist Reliant, and the 2 Argo variants, plus loads more. I believe it is now available for the second wave, possibly the third wave. If you have been invited, you'll have got an email allowing you to copy your account across. If you haven't received the email, then you are not invited just yet, but do keep checking. Please bear in mind that this is a test build for people who want to find bugs to do so. There's going to be glitches, there's bugs, there's issues, there's connection issues. They are all present. This is not what the final product will look like. This is purely just for testing purposes. I have been creating videos over the last few days to show it off, plus live streaming it on Twitch. So be sure to follow me there and subscribe here so you do not miss a thing. So, Around the Verse episode 3.3 is coming from Austin this week. David Swarford was the first one up. He's the public relations guy talking about Gamescom. He is the one that deals with all the media relations and magazines, for example, like we saw PC Games magazine. And he mentioned that what we saw in the PC Games magazine, which is the German magazine, which showed off a bit of the procedural stuff, that is what we will see. That was what we got the preview of at Gamescom. So that is exciting. Anyway, from there we met Brian Brewer, who is the lead animator, talking about the female character animations. He started testing the animations now with the ROMs, or the range of movement, which is a calibration thing, to just show off all the range of movement. We saw a comparison between the old and the new footage. It fits the seat better, it's a much better model. The red markers are there for the motion capture markers, so that's what was being worn by the characters, well, by the real people who were doing this motion capture. After that, we met with Justin Binford, who is the global QA director. They are testing Squadron 42 and things ready for Gamescom. Also, lots of testing for 2.5 and Star Marine. Sandy said that Squadron 42 hoodies are coming soon. The most valuable post was DJ Brazy, who with his stylized vector art, very, very cool. And then from there, we met with Tony Zurovec for a behind-the-scenes chat about the NPCs and a bit of a Q&A. So they'll be releasing NPCs in 2.7, which is the late 2016. It'll be a small amount to start with, and then it'll increase over time. It'll consist of shopkeepers, patrons, maintenance workers, entertainers, tourists, and vagrants. These will be found in larger landing zones, so places like Area 18, Levski, Port Olisar, Grimhex. They will fine-tune performance and animation quality. The focus is on diversity and the variety of their actions. The first wave won't really say much, but it will increase over time. Also, your reputation and personal history with these people. So, for example, if they give you a task and how you did win that task, will command how the conversations will go and how they feel about you. NPC schedules will vary, and you'll see them doing different things at day and night. So at the daytime you'll find shop workers and people shopping. On the nighttime you will find fewer characters going around, party goers, entertainers, drunks and criminals. Also, macro events will be under consideration. If, say, a business is booming, you'll start to see more well-to-do characters in that area and less crime. Opposed to if a place is struggling, then you'll see vandalism and begging and so forth. Also, if war is nearby, if war is within that sort of system or close to that system, then medical facilities will have lots of traffic. You'll see people limping and then patched Marines coming out. Ultimately, each landing zone should feel living and breathing. So when it comes to hiring NPC crews, it's very important to the game. It's not going to be in 2016. Larger landing zones will have a personnel shop where you can view a library of available characters to hire. Each will require a salary based upon their skill set and current demand, so you can rent them, but only their services. They're not bought as slaves. NPC serving will have attributes in certain disciplines, so like piloting, turrets, tractor beams, repairing damage, so on and so forth. Also, traits like aggression, intelligence will also be tracked. This will influence an NPC in how they behave in certain situations. So as one of these NPCs does things, their attributes will increase up to a limited potential, and you will then need to figure out if that NPC has reached his peak, which is the highest skill level he can go to. And if they have, then you may want to look at hiring someone else if they peak too early. So you've got to keep that balance and just keep watch on them, basically. The basic idea is you need to invest time and attention to build a good crew. A great NPC won't be found looking for work in these landing zone sort of personnel shops, they will be found by players who are willing to take the chance on them and train them up. So you won't always get like a great NPC crew who is, you know, he's going to be coming across as a rookie, and you've got to train him up to get him to the place where he would be amazing, and then he'll obviously stick with you. Some NPCs may offer you their services if you converse with them and it goes well. This is more time consuming, obviously, as you can expect. Again, it's investment of time. Controlling your crew will be via your Mobi-Glass. You will see who you have, their cost, their skills, and what they are assigned to already, and how they are performing, so on and so forth, and you'll be able to just juggle it that way. First duties will include operating scanners, weaponry, onboard security, and acting as an engineer. Later on, they'll have pilot. They've done a lot of groundwork for the pilot, but it won't be ready for the first wave. They want to give the player the ability to direct their crew without requiring so much micromanagement. So most of the time, you'll need to just hire someone and assign them to your ship. For example, a doctor, if you assign him, he'll spend most of the time in the ship's medbay, healing crews to the best of their ability. On some occasions, they will require a little more frequent communication. For example, a pilot will need more information. Engineering can be dictated to depending on what you want online first, so maybe you want propulsion back on first, shields or weapons. I do like the idea that you won't have to spend a lot of time pushing them in the right direction, because things like armor, games like armor, they require so much skill and attention on managing your squad. I want my NPC to have some intelligence to just go and do what he's needed to do. You say the focus will be on smaller ship crews at the moment. Larger ships, you may need dozens or even hundreds to make it efficient. So eventually, they will have the ability to perhaps hire a base crew from the personal offices with only like specifically small details. Things like cooks and janitors and security guards can be hired in mass, while you focus on hiring maybe specialists that you will really need. Senior crew members are going to be NPCs which you have invested a lot of time and effort into training and building their stats, so they will matter to you. So ship insurance may extend to your senior crew members as NPCs, but that is more later down the line. So some more updates to Subsumption in the coming months, which I'm very excited for. After this, we had a ship shape with Chris Smith, who was showing us the new Hornet F7A. Very cool. It won't replace the current, but Chris did say that if you perform well in Squadron 42, then you may be able to fly her. The modelling and the texture is done. The current model is based upon the old CG bot model, which is from 4 years ago, so it needs to be revamped. They will keep the original in-game, and the new Mark II is built from the ground up. So you'll have the classic and the new side by side. Very cool. Obviously the older one will become more of a collector's item, but it's still a cool looking ship. They will revisit the old version one last time to update the materials and the damage system to get that up to scratch. But basically what they did is they took the problems from the forums of the current Hornet to remedy. So the inspiration was from the F14, 19 and 22. It looks more aggressive, better visibility, missiles deploy now from the bottom, the thrusters move for optimal thrust. The cockpit looks more like a modern fighter. It is looking very cool. I cannot wait to fly this. Anyway, after that, Sandy and Chris Roberts mentioned that there will be no show next week because they are streaming live from the booth with Bad News Baron, Captain Richard, DJ Knight, and our very own redacted member Twerk17. Congratulations, sir. Also, there's a free flight over Gamescom and goodies to be picked up, so do tune in. Anyway, that was Around the Verse. Let's move on to Reverse the Verse. So this week's Reverse the Verse was, again, the Austin edition. We started off with Chris Smith talking about the new F7A mkII. Very cool ship. He says the Hornet is one of the most iconic ships in the universe. It was featured in the first video. Chris has also worked on the 300 series, the Hornet, the Mustang, the M50, the Constellation, and the Jean Scout. He has a lot of experience. He's been there almost from the start. So the first question was, how much creative freedom did you have on the Hornet? And he said he had all the freedom he wants. What he does is he starts modelling, then he shows it to Chris Roberts and the rest of the team for a feedback session. He says Chris Roberts does trust him as he's been around a lot, so he knows just to leave him to get on with it most of the time. Question after that is, the F7A is more rounded and organic. What is the reason for this? And he discussed with Chris Roberts, and they both agreed they wanted to make it more sleek. Sort of the same difference you would see on an old 80s BMW to a modern one. The old Beamers are very boxy, whereas the newer ones are more rounded and sleek. He also says the top view looks like a star, so he kept with that and then just made it more streamlined. Third question, what is the biggest visual design improvement between the Mark I Hornet and the Mark II? And he says the top-down view and third-person view, it looks far more aerodynamic, a better silhouette, and I can just imagine that it would fly quite well in atmosphere too. So next question is, will they let you have a second go at the 300 series? And he says he hopes so. He thinks the plan is yes. That can't come soon enough. Which Hornet is your favourite? And he says the F7A is nice, but the Ghost is cool. And he wants to redo it with the new body. He wants to redo the Ghost with the new body. That would look amazing. How many polys are there between each Hornet Mark 1 and Mark 2? So what's the difference in polys? And he says the Mark 2 actually has less polys. It is far more efficient, which is great news. And this is the difference between 3 years. When you designed ships 3 years ago, they required a lot more memory, a lot more polys, whereas now they're far more efficient. So final question for Chris, what is next for yourself? What are you working on next? And he said he is working on the constellation Aquila or Aquila, however you like to pronounce it. They're not doing all the variants at once, but that one's coming up next. It's got the rounded front end, bigger windows with the radar suite. This is the exploration variant. So any Aquila owners out there, you're in luck. So from there, we met with Tony Zurovec, and Tony Zurovec is pretty much a big legend in the Star Citizen world. He is the director of the Persistent Universe, quite a big job. Talking mainly about NPCs, which is what we saw on Around the Verse. And he started off by mentioning that they wanted to put a lot of thought and development into properly structuring the tools and the data structures so as to minimize the time it takes to go from concept to completion. An example of the level of detail they want to go to is, for example, take a bartender. He will not look very intelligent if he or she just asks you what you want to drink, pours your drink, and then just goes back to polishing glasses and stands there until someone else wants another drink. He says if he was just to start telling people who are about to fight to pipe down, or he'll call security, maybe if someone drops a glass, he would go and sweep that up off the floor, take the trash out before he goes home at night, he will turn off the lights, so on and so forth. If he has the potential to respond to all these situations, he'll look far more interesting and far more diverse. This also allows, if you put the player into a universe with this level of detail, then it gives the player more opportunities to craft their own stories. He says spending time and effort up front will pay off dividends in the long run, and I cannot agree more. So the questions for him, first one is, what feature are you most looking forward to and why? And he says it's not one specific feature, it's more the breadth of features. Players will be able to choose their own path with consequences, so if you want to be a pirate, then there needs to be something to push back at you. Another thing is miners will have a choice of what to mine, but if they stick to the safe zones, then they will not make as much money as if going to a dangerous area of space but getting a much more expensive commodity. You could also form an alliance or hire other escort ships to help you out, but again you'll make less money. The choice is always up to you. So next question, is trust or deception something we should be worrying about when it comes to working with NPC crews? And he says it really depends on the NPC you're hiring. Crew members will be just more of an extension of you, so they will not likely turn against you. It's more the external NPCs who are like giving you missions, then absolutely they may not be honest. But if you are given like a heads up about an asteroid that has a great mineral deposit, then you show up and it's actually a pirate trap. There will be a lot of this type. Not as straightforward as that. But they say they're spending a lot of time and thought into it so that you can make your choices intelligently based on the facts you have, as opposed to just rolling a dice and you get there and that's a trap, or you get there and that's not a trap. You will be able to decide and make your own choices throughout this game. Next question, outside of landing zones, how will NPCs impact the game? Now he says NPCs are going to play a huge role of getting the game to where it needs to be. If they had to just rely on actual players alone to be the counterpart to an ambush, for example, it just wouldn't work. They need to rely on NPCs to properly balance everything, but that doesn't mean that they can't pit real players against real players. So for example, if they sent you as a miner to a certain spot where you could get good minerals, and then inform a pirate org of a good area for miners, and, they'll mix everyone up. It says there's going to be lots of PvE, lots of PvP, and lots of PvPvE. But don't worry, if you want to play the game without any PvP, you will have the choice to lower that, but you will not be away from it 100% of the time. That's a different story altogether. Anyway, next question, will we see different NPCs on different days of the week? As we know, we'll see a 24-hour impact. And he says it is something they have talked about specifically. It's going to be less frequently used than the 24-hour impact that comes in where you see people in the daytime going to work and then people on the evening having a party and drinking and so forth. He did say, though, that Hurston will have a ship that will show up every, say, second Tuesday, or on occasions, due to their overworked, oppressed, exploited workers. They seek to pilfer valuable ores from, so basically just rebelling against the man. I don't know what the ship is actually landing for, but it's maybe stealing ores, etc. They will have less regular scheduled events, but again, it's not going to be as highly obvious as the 24-hour impact. Tyler did ask, will a shopkeeper ever go for a sick day? But he says something like that is so much further out. Short term, they want to get the infrastructure in first and then look into things like riots and things that could really impact the economy. Last question, can I hire an NPC to fly my ship even though I am not on board? And he says this has again been discussed. As of right now, Tony Zorovec wants the player to be a part of it. He doesn't want it to turn into a Sim Citizen where you're just sending someone off and then, you know, that ship gets destroyed. Then it's kind of like, did you have a good time? No. So, you know, they need to make sure that it doesn't pull away from where they want the game to impact now. It is already extremely ambitious, but further down the line, they may take a look at it and look at other areas. But first of all, they've got to get the game complete, get that out, then make sure that it is polished and do like another pass to make sure everything is up to scratch as it should be. Then they will look into things like that later down the line. So to finish off with, Tyler just mentioned that starting Wednesday, they will be live streaming from Gamescom. Also, the Friday evening live stream of the after party, do not miss that, as you will have chances to win things. Provided that the internet is good enough, I will be trying to live stream during Gamescom and at the after party. There's a free fly coming with the Mustang Gamma, the Sabre and the Freelancer, so do, if you've got friends who haven't got the game, get them informed and let them have a go. No RTV, no ATV next week, which is kind of good for me because that means I can focus more on Gamescom and getting videos like that out to you rather than Star Citizen Sunday. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Most excited for all this NPC work. Let's move on. Gamescom is happening next week. Thank you all of those who have donated to get me to the Star Citizen after party. I cannot thank you enough. I will be there on Thursday, heading straight to the Star Citizen booth, naturally, to check it out and say hello to everyone. I'll be vlogging the full time I'm there to put it up as a video later on, but I'll also try and live stream as and when I'm able to, and obviously internet depending. I won't be able to use the chat though, as I can't do both at the same time on my phone, and unfortunately I don't have a miserable to assist. So if you do have any questions or you want to speak to me, follow me on Twitter at SuperMacBrother. From there, I'll be able to answer your questions, or if you've got any requests, I can hopefully do them. If you are going, be sure to say hello. I would love to meet you all. I am very friendly. I do intend on looking at other games as well, so I'll keep you informed as to what I'm planning to do as and when. Again, Twitter is the best way to keep informed as to where I am, what I'm doing, and basically what I'm looking at. So also this week, we had a behind the scenes post highlighting persistence. There was a new showdown post titled Scarcity Theory. Bug Smashers episode 30 is out, so do check the links below for that. Flare 4 subscribers this month is the Reliant Takayetsu model. And finally, there is a post regarding Gamescom and all the details you'll need to know for that week. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more. Okay, he might not be a tool. I was a bit premature calling him a tool there. Is it R? Is it space? Space!